Good morning, friends, and welcome to day 34 of our virtual field trips. It's a beautiful day here in the Similkameen Valley, and I'm really excited at what we're going to be doing together today. Now, before we get to that, we're actually not going to be doing the video in this kitchen today. We're going to be in our other kitchen just because it's easier for this. But before I do that, I just want to show you a couple of cool new things that came in just yesterday. So, I mentioned last week, on one of our field trips last week, that there was this spectacular artist by the name of Julia Bullock-Webster that came to the valley last 120 years ago or so, in the 1890s. And one of the things that she left behind were these wonderful paintings, these amazing sketches, and this fantastic diary. So, yesterday, I'm really excited that we got prototypes back of some products that we're going to start to sell. Now, because of the pandemic, because of the way things are going, we are possibly not going to be opening our gift shop this year for browsing. Instead, we'll be doing most of our sales online. It's just easier to make sure that you get it safely and securely. But what I want to show you are some of the things that we've actually managed to get. So I mentioned before that Julia kept a diary. And so we've actually got available for sale now a diary featuring one of her watercolor paintings on it. Nice lined diary. So that's the prototype, and we're really impressed with the quality, actually. So, Julie Bullock-Webster, we've got that. We've also got a sketchbook with another one of her pieces of art on it. I think that it's quite handsome. And what's actually holding up my phone right now is, a mug with one of her paintings too. It's just pretty cool. At the same time, met with our volunteer group yesterday, the Gristmill Foundation, they call themselves. We had a wonderful socially distanced meeting in the garden, and they brought one of their new products that I'm going to get online. These things are online already. Haven't managed to get this last one online, but we love these wooden spoons that they make. They are really useful because, of course, they have the flat edge, which makes it easier when you're making jam and things like that to really scrape the bottom of the pot. So these will be available for sale too. I'm sorry for the crass commercial message, but we got to support ourselves somehow. Now, today's field trip is all about rhubarb, and in particular, rhubarb upside down cake. It's one of those recipes that's super easy, really. There's not a ton of technique involved. Anybody could feel confident in putting it all together, but the results sort of far outshine the simplicity of the recipe. And rhubarb is one of those things that if you know somebody with a rhubarb plant, there's a good chance that they have too much of it, and they would be more than happy to share if you would just ask. So our rhubarb plant is just over here, so that's where we're going to go right now. So let's go for a quick little walk over to the garden. Now, rhubarb is not a fruit, it's actually a vegetable. You can sort of think of it, I guess, as the devil's celery or something. Every once in a while, when I get one that's got a really good cup shape, I'm like, what would happen if I put, Cheese Whiz on it? And it'd be awful. But anyways, so here's what we have. We have a wonderful looking rhubarb plant right here, just waiting for harvest. There's no flower on it yet. You'll see the flower come up around this time of year. That's when things are starting to get past. You want to knock those down if you want to keep your rhubarb happy. But what we're going to do, the proper way to harvest rhubarb, is actually to grab a stem and pull. You want to pull firmly because what we're trying to do is have it come right off the base of the plant. We don't want to cut it because then the plant doesn't get the signal that shoot is gone and won't keep making more. But if we pull it out, it knows. So let's grab this one quite firmly, give it a good little twist and a tug, and you end up with a little bit of end there. That's good. That's exactly what we want to see. So we've got one here. Let's get another one. Maybe one more should do us. Because for this recipe, all we need are 3 cups of rhubarb. So we have 3 big stalks of rhubarb. That is more than enough. And now we're going to go for a walk together down to the kitchen. Now there's a lot of misunderstanding about rhubarb. Rhubarb leaves are poisonous. If you eat enough of them, you can die. But rhubarb stems have very, very little of that poison in them. So it's fine to eat rhubarb if you're eating the stems, but don't eat the leaves. There are stories of wartime in England when the official suggestion was to eat rhubarb leaves because they were so plentiful, to give somebody a green to eat during the times of rationing. Unfortunately, people started dying from it, and fortunately they quickly rescinded that suggestion. Now, I get asked fairly often about the color of rhubarb and whether it matters. Yes and no. The sweetness of rhubarb is not indicated by its color. A red rhubarb is not automatically going to be sweeter than a green rhubarb. There are times when red is generally more likely to be sweet because we've bred it that way, but it's not necessarily true. So don't turn down green rhubarb just because it's green. It might be exactly what you actually want. So here we are. We are inside the kitchen. First thing I'm going to do is actually going to come over to the sink and give this a quick little trim and get it ready to cut up. So I'm going to put you down right about here. Hope you don't mind. Get the water turned on. I'm just going to cut the leaves off because we don't need those. Okay. Then we're going to cut the root end off. Do that for all three of these. I'll often normally just do this in the garden and just leave the leftovers by the rhubarb plant so that the leaves can, go back into the soil and help feed everything again. So there we go, cleaned and trimmed rhubarb. So we'll take this and hello, and we're gonna come over to our far better station right here. Okay, so now we're at our proper cooking station. I've got my beautiful looking rhubarb. This stuff is gorgeous. Look at the color on the inside even. I know I said that red doesn't matter, but it's still really, really pretty. So to make rhubarb upside down cake, there's a couple of steps. The first step is just to cut up our rhubarb. We want it in, not too large chunks. You could make it in strips if you wanted to, like if you wanted to cut really long pieces and lay them into your pan. You could do that. It's going to look different. But this stuff, it's getting old enough. It's just getting a little bit stringy now. That's not going to matter for the way that we're cutting it, as long as we cut. It's like celery, right? Celery has strings. So does rhubarb, sort of. So if we cut it this way, cross it, you're only going to end up with very short pieces, and it's not going to seem so stringy at all. So let's move you down, right down here to the cutting board. There we are. And all we have to do here, I'm just going to double myself up, and we're just going to cut this into chunks. So we're aiming for 3 cups of delicious fresh rhubarb for this particular cake. Now, for those of you who are trying to keep track of the recipe, don't worry about it. In a second, when I have free hands, I will actually paste the recipe link right into the comments of this video so that you can just access it there whenever you need to. All right, so we have here a very nice pile of rhubarb. We'll say that's about 3 cups. Now, you need a well-greased, and I went a little crazy, skillet. And we're going to put the rhubarb right into the skillet. So we'll just take it and put it in there. What we want is a nice even layer at the bottom of the pan, which is going to turn out to be the top in the end. Okay. Very good. So just spread that out. That's looking pretty fantastic. So that is going to be the top of our upside down cake when we're done. Now, the next thing we need to do is there's a few more things that we want to add to this. So we are going to take a cup of sugar. We are going to take 2 tablespoons of flour. And we are going to take about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. That's the only other flavor in this cake. It's a very plain cake except for the nutmeg and the rhubarb, and that's all that we need. So we'll just give this a quick little mix. Since I'm doing it one-handed, I'm just going to do it this way. And we're just going to put that right on top. Pretty simple so far. There we go. Good. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to get a 1/4 cup of melted butter. It's funny how that appeared out of nowhere. We're going to get a 1/4 cup of melted butter, and we're going to put it right on top of that. So let's see if I can do this with one hand. There we go. So 1/4 cup of melted butter and just drizzled on top of this. Okay. Now we're going to set this aside because we need to make the batter now that's actually going to make the cake. So we're going to take our bowl and we are going to take let's go over here and take 1.5 cups of, actually, that's not what we're going to do first. We are going to do 3/4 cup of sugar, kind of like that. And we are going to do another 1/4 cup of butter straight into that bowl. So let's do that right there like that. Now, I have to grab a mixing spoon of some kind. So we'll do that. Here we go. Go back to this and just give it a quick little mix. Then we're going to put an egg in there. So far we've got a 3/4 cup of sugar. We have a 1/4 cup of butter. And we have, amazingly enough, with one hand, an egg. And we'll mix all that up. Okay. So now that that's done, what we need is we need 1.5 cups of flour. We need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm just going to put that right in the flour. I'm just going to mix that in. 1 and 2. We're going to take 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. And we are going to take 1/4 teaspoon of salt. There we go. Now that's all the dry ingredients. I have 2/3 cup of milk back here. And I have the sugar, egg, and butter. I just need to mix these 3 things together now. And the easiest way to do that really is to take a little bit of the dry ingredients, put it in, add a little bit of the milk, and give it a good mix. And then keep doing that until it's all combined. A few lumps doesn't matter as long as they're not big lumps. I mean, this is not meant to be perfect. This is just a quick and easy recipe. Okay. This is really fun doing this with one hand holding a camera and the other hand doing the mixing. But that's okay. Okay, we're almost done. We put in the last of the dry. We put in the last of the milk. And we make the last of our batter. Now I'm going to put you back over here so that we can finish this up nicely and easily together. So now I've got 2 hands free. This is smarter. So I've got my dough, my batter. I'm just going to give this a really, really good mix. Make sure we get rid of all the dry spots. Make sure it's fully combined, and that looks like a pretty good batter. Okay. Oh yeah. So we're going to take this batter and we are going to put it onto our skillet full of rhubarb and other tastiness. So maybe I can put this here. Okay. So we just take the batter, we put it on top. Now this is a fairly thick batter. You could add a little bit more milk if you thought it was too thick. No big deal. We just want it thick enough, well, thin enough that we can spread it around a little bit when the time comes, because we want it to cover the whole entire pan, because that's the cake that's going to go underneath the rhubarb. So pretty straightforward. Okay. Now, the best part is we take this and we put it in our oven. Really, that's all we have to do. So, I'm going to switch the camera. Now, this is the cool thing. I have one here. I also have one cooking right there. And best of all, I have one already finished right here. That is what it looks like. When it starts off as this, when it's almost done cooking, you can see the cake is cooking. You can see it bubbling along the edge. Now, we'll know that this is ready by putting a toothpick in the middle and seeing if it has set up completely. If the toothpick comes out dirty, if it still has batter on it, that means that it's not quite ready. This is close, but not quite ready. But let's grab this guy. We'll put him in. There we go. We're going to leave you in there for a few more minutes. And we are just going to appreciate the incredible beauty of this finished upside down cake. So basically what's going to happen is that when it's done cooking in the oven, we are going to take it and we are going to put something on top of it. In this case, this nice flat cutting board. And then we're going to flip it. And as long as you do it while everything is still hot, then the bottom of the pan, which becomes the top of your cake, is going to be nice and juicy, and it's going to come out really easily. Now, this is definitely something that you're going to want to eat when it's still warm. Maybe you can have a little bit of vanilla ice cream with it. Maybe you could have some, I'm just grabbing a knife so that I can cut into it. You could have it with some fresh whipped cream, even just a big glass of milk, whatever it is. So let me turn this around again so that we can take a nice look at what it looks like inside. So we'll cut a slice out here for you. We'll just scoop it right off. And there you go. So that is rhubarb upside down cake. Couldn't be easier, couldn't be tastier. And in just a moment, I am going to post the recipe right here in the comments. Wow, magical technology, man. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Rhubarb upside down cake is a super easy thing to do. You'll need roughly a 10.5 inch skillet, heavy bottomed for sure, preferably cast iron. You just go through the steps that are in the recipe or the ones that I went through here on the video, and you can make this for yourself tonight. So anyways, thank you so much as always for watching. Thank you for your support. If you live in the Lower Mainland or in the Okanagan, we are going to be doing another one of our delivery runs over the next, late next week. So if there is something that is on our online store that you would like us to bring to your door, we would be happy to deliver it for you. Just choose, and then when it comes to shipping, choose the to the door shipping, and we'd be happy to do that. Anyways, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. We will see you tomorrow morning. The Wi-Fi isn't completely installed yet, so I doubt I will be running like a maniac around the site with glee. Technology always takes longer than you think, but I am looking forward to being able to do that soon. We do have a fun video tomorrow, though. So I will see you tomorrow. Again, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.